No, I don't have fucking... It's not gonna reach all the way over here. Oh, it might. Shut up. Oh, shut up. Oh my gosh, shut up. It reaches. Totally just ADD'd that moment. Good morning! My name is Josh Tyler. Welcome back to My Privileged Opinion. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you are thriving and living and just staying in a space of this too shall pass. Because it really will. Like, literally every moment in life will have an end. But this week, I want to talk about trauma. Specifically my trauma around coming out, because I feel like as gays, we talk about coming out and we talk about it sucking, but I don't know, never talking about the specific events, because it can be traumatic for some of us. For me, the trauma was emotional abandonment. I come from a super close-knit family. When I came out, they all vanished. Not physically vanished, because I was still 17 and I was still living at home, but they all emotionally checked out. Now, in the moment, that was not what I was aware of. I started to see my parents' emotional maturity and emotional capacity, which in hindsight was very lacking. At that time, they were in no way emotionally ready to handle that event, nor were they even emotionally ready to join me on the journey of discovering who I was. And as I started to discover who I was, this huge gap started to form between us. It took me another 10 years before I was able to uncover that massive gap that was forming caused me a massive trauma. Specifically, that is the emotional abandonment. That right there. Me being vulnerable about who I was and my parents pulling away and giving me no emotional support. That is emotional abandonment, folks. It's not great. Really scares you from being vulnerable again. The emotional abandonment that I felt then caused me to fear vulnerability with other people, which then spun me into this 10-year-long journey of having the horrible ability to form relationships with anyone, because I feared at any point being vulnerable with people for that they would leave me. However, the aha moment for me to start my journey of healing came when I realized that I needed to name that feeling. The feeling that I experienced when I came out. Up until that moment of realizing that I needed to name it, I kind of was always just like,
oh, that sucked, that was an event, let's move forward.
But in naming it, I was then able to allow myself to feel it. To feel the loneliness, the stress, the jolts, the trauma of the event of me coming out and my parents just checking out. Once I was able to call it trauma and see my parents' inabilities in that event, I was then able to take control of the situation and start to heal. Because up until that moment, I was just living life reacting from a place of trauma, continually telling stories without having the facts and reaffirming my trauma. The first step for me in healing was to call the situation what it was and be honest with myself about what I experienced. It also really helped me be honest about where my parents were at and to be able to forgive them for their inabilities. It also helped me understand where my parents were in that moment in life and see that they didn't have the tools to do a good job in that situation. And that has then been able to help me measure our current relationship and go, have you been getting these tools? Are you trying to do better? Because that is a huge part of growing past that trauma with someone. Learning to call things and moments and experiences and feelings what they truly are is such a huge key moment in healing. For me, for anyone, and that is really what I want the takeaway to be today. Call the events and the moments and your feelings what they truly are. Go out into the world, be good and do good, and I will see you next week. Goodbye. A really good stream of consciousness. I hate doing this on my phone. Lack of preparedness.